outfits do wear.
So I guess if you've been watching for a while, my style has, I mean, I wouldn't say it's changed drastically. I still want similar things for my wardrobe. I still have very similar wardrobe values to what I used to, but I guess there's definitely been a transformation. If you are not someone who regularly hangs out here, you should know that my style is pretty simple, generally speaking. I like to characterize it as lazy glam. And what that means to me is that I want to look nice, I want to look put together, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to think about it too hard. I go out quite a lot. A few times a week I'm dressed up for some reason. Sometimes I get a little bit fancy, but generally speaking, I think my aesthetic is pretty toned down. Like, to me, this is dressed up. That's part of the lazy. I don't like looking too flashy. I kind of like to look and feel a little effortless. I think that's when I feel my best in terms of when I'm dressed. And well, I definitely put a lot of forethought into planning my wardrobe. I buy a lot of things and I try them on and I return them. Generally, I'm quite fixated on finding pieces that I genuinely really love and that really work for me. I am quite fussy. So while the actual picking up of the things, the shopping part of building the wardrobe can be quite time consuming, that's when the lazy can kick in. The lazy also refers to putting the outfits together, having already done the footwork beforehand so that when it's time to get dressed, I know what I'm wearing. Like I almost never do this thing where I just throw all my wardrobe out on the bed, try things on, etc., etc. And while I'm here defining my wardrobe, I definitely prefer to have a smaller wardrobe, and I definitely went through a period of a changeover where I had the biggest wardrobe I had in a long time, actually. But now that I've resolved how I want things to be, it's getting more narrow again. Well, now that I've reached a kind of a rhythm, I think that's kind of where we're heading back towards. I want to talk about the smallest things that made the biggest changes in my wardrobe transformation. Actually, I already made a whole video about this topic over on Patreon. So I posted that video a while back. I don't know when. If you are in my Patreon community, could you please do me a favor and maybe drop down in the comments when that video came out and whether you found it useful. But basically, I talked about a whole bunch of factors that really transformed my style. Yeah, I kind of want to talk about that idea today, and it's not necessarily the same things that I'm talking about. Here we are, let's chat about these things. I gave myself permission to change my wardrobe. And you might think, oh, who cares? What? Yeah, exactly. Well, I, for a long time, made content strictly around my wardrobe. Yeah, it was kind of scary to make a lot of changes, but eventually I just realized my wardrobe needs to be for me at the end of the day, and that's just how it is. I have always been open to experimenting, and I think that is a very valuable thing to have as part of your wardrobe mentality, I guess. For me, it's a balance between learning and knowing what really works for me, i.e. lazy glam. Most of my wardrobes have been, at the very least, lazy over the years. I still value simplicity. I still value comfort. You know, those values have not changed, but it's very important in life in general to be able to learn to keep two separate truths in the same area. Must be able to tolerate the reality of two different truths existing at the same time. And while yes, on the one hand, I already know what I like, I already know the kinds of things that I love, on the other hand, if I don't experiment, I will get bored, it will get stale. Experimentation is how you keep your wardrobe alive. Like, if you already know what your style is very well, maybe it's just about mixing up the color. If you already have a very specific era that you like to relive in your wardrobe, maybe it's about trying something from a different era. I do think that experimentation is important because it allows you to keep your wardrobe interesting, gives it life, gives it movement, maybe keeps it relevant. I'm generally not a fan of trend dressing, but sometimes you can pick up a trend and that really can add something new in your wardrobe or help you redefine your wardrobe or send you in a new direction. I photograph my outfits because I make content. However, it has been so useful over the years to be able to look at an outfit not in the mirror, and I really recommend that you do this. Get into the habit of getting photos of yourself in your outfits. It's so much easier for me to judge whether I like something or not once I've seen video footage of it. Now that I'm putting more time into my videos and allowing them to breathe more, allowing them to have space, that's more of what you'll see here. More of me being like, actually, I just got this thing, let me try it out, see my process, see how I decide. Practicing my good outfits. I, years ago, got out of the habit of, keeping my good things for later. My good things are the things I'm wearing this weekend. If I don't have a reason to wear it, I'll find a reason to wear it. That's how your good things in your wardrobe should function. And when you practice wearing your good outfits, you get more used to feeling good in your outfits, and that's how you can get into the habit of generally shopping and dressing to make yourself feel your best all the time. Once I've figured out my formula, so once I know what works best for me, I replicate items. Like, maybe I'll get the same item in different colors. I've got this turtleneck in like 3 different colors. Or I'll get similar versions of things. And another thing I'll do, which is within the outfit repeating realm, generally speaking, is I will get fancier versions of things. Allows me to find that 2, 3, or 4, 5 outfits that look really good on me, and then just replicate that formula in different ways. So for example, I have my casual, everyday ballerina shoes. And I recently got a really upscale, fancy version of those. And now is the time in the video where we thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that you can use to build a website so that people can find your work. Are you looking for a home for your writing, your podcast, your creative arts practice? And I know what you're thinking, creating a web space is so challenging. How do you create a space that is both interesting and simultaneously somehow minimal and chic? Well, don't you worry, Squarespace have you covered. To get started on your free trial, simply head to www.squarespace.com. From there, a series of simple prompts will steer you in the correct direction. What is your creative form? Music, photography, art, food? Are you just looking for a space to put your virtual CV? Follow the prompts to find a series of templates that best suit your work. And while the templates are already beautifully designed, you can customize yours further to look exactly how you want it to create your whole world on the internet. To get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain name, start your free trial, and when you are ready to launch, simply use this here URL. A massive thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. So I guess the crux of all of this and the real thing I wanted to talk about today is I am really happy with my wardrobe now. I went through a year of experimenting, a year of validating those experiments and going, yes, I agree with this one, I agree with that one. Now I've settled into a routine of general satisfaction with what I've got. So the future part of the wardrobe plan is that I am now going to be slowly turning my wardrobe into a luxury wardrobe. Now, when I think of my big wardrobe dream, the dream I've always had for as long as I can remember, I've always wanted a small wardrobe full of really fancy pieces. A number of things have inspired me over the years, but ultimately that is kind of the theme that I always keep coming back to. So I kind of picture this beautiful wardrobe of 50 pieces, let's say, and every piece is quite special. Now, in reality, that's probably not going to happen. There's no such thing as the perfect wardrobe. I've experienced this myself many times. The reality is it doesn't matter how expensive a thing is. Even if you just have like 50 to 60 pieces, you are repeatedly wearing things and they do get worn out. Obviously, not every single one of my 50 to 60 piece wardrobe is going to be able to be, some magnificent luxury piece because that's just not practical. I'm probably still going to have some of these mid-range brand stuff in my wardrobe, but I am working towards ensuring that a larger part of my wardrobe are these sort of signature, more unique luxury pieces. Now, how I'm doing that is a whole different discussion as well, and I've also made a whole video about that over on Patreon, where I talk about my shopping budget and how I've changed my shopping habits. Again, if you are in my Patreon community and you happen to know what the name of that video was or when I posted it, whether it was good or not, let us know in the comments, because when you make as much content as I do, you just tend to forget all the details. I have a budget for my wardrobe now, and I've been on that budget for close to a year now, and so I have been shopping in a way that has allowed me to kind of create this savings account full of wardrobe money. I have been dipping into that lately, which is why you've seen a few little fancy pieces popping up, but that ultimately is what's going to continue happening. Now, there will probably still be a few mid-range pieces coming in, but there will also be fancy replacements of parts of my formula that I know I really love and that I will wear repeatedly. Now, just because I'm spending a fortune on a pair of shoes doesn't mean I'm going to be wearing it every day, but it just does mean that when I want to conserve that lazy glam attitude, but I'm feeling casual as heck. Like I literally just want to wear a turtleneck and a pair of jeans and a pair of flats to a party. I can do that and still feel glam. Because even though the whole look is toned down, I've got these little fancy pieces in there. So I guess to complete the circle of this conversation, the upgrading of certain key pieces is part of the lazy glam continuance / improvement formula. I can still be lazy, but more and more pieces in my wardrobe will become fancier.